Wiley and Sandra have always seemed to be one of those married couples who are looked upon with envy. They have lived together for over 15 years, have 3 adorable children, a house with a well-kept garden and all the signs of a normal and happy life. Sandra warmly takes care of the children and the house. Wiley works as a letter carrier, communicates with neighbors, and each of them seems to be immersed in his role. But more and more Wiley realizes that the routine drags him down like a trap that holds him tighter and tighter in place, depriving him of freshness and joy. Gradually he begins to notice that it is not so much the usual routine that is holding him back, but a feeling of emptiness that he cannot explain to himself or to others. One day, in a slightly subdued tone, he shares his thoughts with Sam, his longtime friend and soulmate, who, by contrast, is going through a period of falling in love and anticipation. Sam is about to marry Edith, a young woman who shares his dreams and visions for the future with a smile and ease. For Sam, marriage seems like the beginning of something new and wonderful, but for Wiley it seems the opposite. They chat in the backyard, discussing life and taking sip after sip from a bottle of beer. Wiley shares troubling doubts with his friend, as if he wants to relieve the weight that weighs on him more and more each day. He says that he is no longer sure of his feelings and doesn't know what to do about the wall that has grown between him and Sandra. Sam, surprised by his candor, tries to cheer his friend up, saying that every marriage goes through ups and downs and that Wiley is just going through a weak moment, as he puts it. But Wiley remains steadfast in his belief that he is about to suffocate if he doesn't get out of this vicious cycle. He decides to leave his family, even if it's painful for everyone. He feels that only in solitude can he find himself and perhaps rediscover the joy he once felt in life. The next day, in the evening silence, he, without saying too many words, packs up his things and leaves the house, leaving Sandra confused and bewildered. When Sandra realizes that Wiley is gone, she feels as if the ground is leaving under her feet. The children's home, her whole world seems to lose its balance. She tries to make sense of his departure, replaying over and over in her head their last conversations and moments where she thinks she could have made a difference if only she had noticed. She sinks into painful reflection, feeling the loneliness creeping into every corner of her life. She doesn't understand how it was possible to love for so long and come to this outcome. She is supported by her friends and loved ones who comfort her and help her not to give up. Gradually, Sandra begins to realize that she can no longer just live for her husband and family. She needs to find strength in herself and learn to be self-sufficient. Amidst this inner struggle, Sandra Wiley, having found her long-awaited freedom, finds in it not at all the joy he expected. At first he really enjoys the quiet and the ability to do whatever he wants, but this freedom quickly turns into alienation. He is surprised to realize how much he misses the children's voices, Sandra's laughter, and the simple but important little things he was so used to. Everything that once seemed routine to him now takes on a new meaning and causes an acute sense of longing. Wiley begins to realize that he may have been running away from his inner problems, not his family. Anxiety and regret settle in his heart. He is no longer sure that leaving was the right decision. Meanwhile, Sam and Edith prepare for their wedding. Despite Wiley's personal difficulties, he stays by Sam's side during this important moment. The wedding preparations bring many happy and light moments for everyone, and for Wiley it is an opportunity to see Sandra again. During one of the wedding rehearsals, they accidentally find themselves alone together, and the tension between them becomes palpable. It's as if a barrier stands between them, though both don't know how to overcome it. Eventually, they can't help themselves and begin to discuss their past, their mistakes, and what led them to break up. Wiley finally admits that he felt depressed and lost, that he wanted change, but was probably too radical in his decision to change everything. He says that he still loves her, even though he himself doesn't understand why he left then. Sandra, hearing these words, softens, though she is still hurt. She realizes that she wasn't perfect either, that her life had become somewhat automatic, where she cared more about others than herself. But there is a firmness in her voice. If they decide to be together again, they will have to build a relationship from scratch, honestly and openly. Sam and Edith's wedding day arrives. At this celebration, Wiley and Sandra find themselves near each other again, and the atmosphere of the celebration unwittingly brings them closer together. They watch the young couple, who are just beginning their journey, full of hopes and expectations. The sight makes them think about how they themselves were once like that, naive and full of love. Wiley feels a strong desire to bring back those days when they were happy and carefree. After the ceremony, he asks Sandra to dance. She accepts, and the dance seems to take them back to the time when they first fell in love. They twirl slowly to the music, and every gesture, every movement is filled with meaning. Wiley asks Sandra for a second chance, assuring her that he is ready to work on himself and their relationship. He realizes that true freedom is not in leaving, but in learning to be happy around the one you love. Sandra, who has already decided to live for herself, ponders whether to trust him again. She sees that he is genuinely remorseful and realizes that she still loves him despite everything that has happened. Eventually they decide to try again, but not to go back to their old lives right away. They agree to start slowly, dating as if getting to know each other again and learning to understand each other.